Picture the atom, the smallest speck all the world is built from. This table, that fire, your own two hands. And I'll wager, science or none, the very same little diagram lights up behind your eyes as behind mine. The one off the schoolroom wall, drawn for you before you could spell the word. So I've climbed up here tonight to ask it plain, and hear it straight, at last. That picture, is it right?
Straight it is then. You came up a cold hill for the truth and not for comfort. That picture, the little solar system, the one near every soul alive would draw you if you put a pencil in their hand, is a lie. Not a rough sketch of something truer, a lie you could build no world upon. And here's the sting of it, the real shape of the atom is a stranger and a lovelier thing than that tidy poster ever had the nerve to hang.
Steady on, you can't set a thing like that down and just walk off. It's so neat, so sensible, every little piece wheeling round right where it ought to sit. And you'd have me believe all of it is simply false. Then what's left of an atom at all, once you've stripped the little planets out of it?
And it's true, every word of it. Strip the planets out, and what's left is stranger still. Nothing circles in there. No planets, no tracks, no rings. Nothing goes round anything at all. What's truly wrapped round that nucleus is nearer a cloud than a clockwork. A standing wave, a fog of pure maybe, with no orbit anywhere inside it, and no hard edge to hold. But I'll not tear the old picture off the wall before you've hung it up whole. So set it on the table between us. Draw me the atom the way you carry it, every last line, and I'll know just what it is I'm taking off you.
It's the prettiest picture in the whole of science, and you know it as well as I do. A hard little knot at the centre, the nucleus, and round it the electrons, whizzing on their neat rings like planets round the sun. A tiny solar system, small enough to balance on a pinhead. Round and round they go, each in its own tidy lane. That's the atom. That's the picture on every wall I ever sat under as a boy.
The little solar system. It's chalked on the wall of every schoolroom on Earth. It's stamped on the badge of half the institutes going. And it is wrong. Not out of date, not a touch rough round the corners, wrong at the root. Wrong in a way that would tear the whole world to rags in less time than it takes to say so, if nature had ever once been fool enough to build it that way.
Now, hold on. You're sitting there telling me the diagram on every classroom wall, the one they teach the children, the one they string up on the science fair bunting, is a flat lie?
A lie of convenience, which is the most comfortable kind there is. It's near enough for a child's first squint, so nobody troubles to pull it down. But you're no child at a first squint. 11 weeks up this hill in the dark. So tonight it comes off the wall for good. It carries 2 fatal faults, and I'll hand you them one at a time. Take the first, and it's the deadliest of the pair. A little planet on a track round that nucleus could not last you the blink of an eye.
Couldn't last the... Why ever not? A planet holds its orbit round the sun for 1,000 million years and thinks nothing of it. Why should your little electron not do the very same?
Because a planet is a lump of cold rock out of Newton's world, a place and a speed on a rail, and nothing spilling off it. An electron carries a charge, and there's the whole difference in creation. Here's the hard law you can't wriggle past. A charge that's forced round a bend, round any curve at all, cannot help but bleed light as it goes. Shake a charge, swing it, drag it off a straight line, and it spills energy out into the room as light. A planet on a curve spills nothing. A charge on a curve pours it out the whole way round.
So my whizzing electron is leaking just by going round the ring?
Pouring more like, hand over fist. Every instant it's hauled round that curve, it's flinging light off into the dark, and paying for it out of its own pocket, out of its own motion. And a thing that spends its motion can't keep its motion, can't hold its curve. It sags inward. The ring tightens on it. It winds down and down toward the nucleus, quicker as it falls, brighter as it spends.
And it hits.
It hits. The electron spirals down its own little drain and crashes headlong into the nucleus, and the atom snaps shut like a sprung trap. And the time the whole catastrophe takes, from the top of the spiral to the crash at the bottom, is smaller than any word you own for a scrap of a second. Far smaller than a blink. If the atom were the little solar system on that poster, matter itself would fall in on itself the instant it was made. Every atom in your hand would wink out before you'd finished forming the thought of it.
So the very picture they teach the children is a portrait of a thing that would destroy itself before you could name it. Every atom in the wall, in my hand, in the fire in front of us, all of them doomed to collapse in a flash of light, and none of them do. The world's plainly still here, I'm sitting in it. So the poster's not merely wrong, it's a picture of a disaster that never once happens.
And that never once happens is one of the loudest facts in all of physics. It was screaming in the face of everyone who first drew the poster. Matter is stable. Atoms sit there, patient, for the age of the universe. Not collapsing, not pouring out light, just holding. The little solar system cannot give you that for love nor money. It hands you a bonfire that burns itself out in a flash.
So something's propping that electron up, something Newton never had a name for.
Something with no cousin anywhere in the old world of planets and tracks. Hold that debt. I'll pay it before the fire drops. That's the first fault. The thing falls in and dies.
You said there were two. What's the second?
The second's quieter, but it cuts deeper. And you've known it in your bones for weeks. You've only never aimed it at the poster. A track, a neat lane the electron rides round on, asks the electron to have a definite spot and a definite motion, both at the one time, sharp as a train on a rail, at every instant of the ride. Now cast your mind back over everything I've drilled into you since the leaves turned. Is that a thing an electron is ever allowed to have?
No, it isn't. You spent a whole cruel morning beating that out of me by this same grate. The blur I couldn't beat. Pin down where the thing is and how it's moving goes to fog. Pin its motion and where it sits smears out to nothing. You can't have both sharp at once, not ever, not by any cleverness under the sun. And a track needs both.
A track is a line built out of exactly the thing nature forbids the electron to have. A spot and a speed welded together at every point along it. So even if the electron somehow refused to fall, the track itself is stitched from a thing that cannot exist. It isn't that the electron rides the wrong lane. There is no lane. The whole idea of a path, a here and a next here and a next after that, is the wrong shape of idea to carry up to an electron at all.
So both faults cut the same way when you follow them home. One says the planet atom would die in a flash. The other says there was never a planet, nor a track for it to die along. The poster's wrong twice over for two separate reasons, and I can't patch the one without the other laughing at me.
You can't. And when a picture fails you that badly, you don't reach for the glue. You throw it in the fire and ask what you've got left in your two hands to build with. So tell me, strip the little planet away, strip the track out from under it. What's the one thing we've spent 11 weeks swearing an electron truly is? Not a picture I sold you. The thing itself, underneath.
A wave. That's the drum you've beaten loudest of all. Not a little ball, not a speck with an address. A wave. A spread-out thing, smeared through space, with a height at every point, and the square of that height handing me the odds of finding it there. That's the electron you've given me, over and over. A wave of maybe.
A wave of maybe. Then that, and not the little planet, is the thing we have to shut inside the atom. And the instant you say, shut inside, A bell ought to ring in you from a few nights back. Because we have done this before, the two of us. We have taken a wave and we have penned it up.
The box. The strip of floor with a sheer wall at each end. You trapped a wave between two walls and it went all musical on you.
There's the bell. We caged a wave and it stopped being able to be just anything at all.
Pinned to nothing at both walls, and only certain shapes could live in there.
Only certain shapes. A whole number of humps and never a fraction. Because any shape that didn't close came home out of step and knifed itself clean out of existence. 1 hump, 2, 3, a ladder of allowed shapes, with pure forbidden silence in every gap between. And each shape carried its own one energy.
A menu, you called it, not a dial. I bled over every word of it. And then, right at the death of that night, one hand on the latch, you told me the atom was this very same trick. Only you'd drawn it flat on a strip of floor and warned me the real one was round and softer at the edge and stranger by far. And then you parked it, slid it under a cloth for a later night, the way you always do to me.
And this is the later night. The cloth comes off at last. Everything you built inside that box was true. Every word of it still holds. But the box penned a wave along a line, rattling back and forth in the one direction, left wall to right and home again. Tonight we let the wave loose into all the room there is at once, and we wrap it round the nucleus in every direction it can reach.
In every direction, meaning what exactly? Set it up slow for me. In the box, the wave ran the one way, left and right along the floor. What changes the moment you let it out into the round?
Think first of what a thing can ring in. A string is a wave pinned along a line. It rings in one direction only, and its shapes are those humps you already own. Now stretch a drum skin flat and strike it. There's a wave pinned across a whole surface, and it rings in richer patterns than humps. Rings and ripples chasing out across the face of it. Now climb 1 story higher still. Let a wave ring not along a line and not across a skin, but all the way through a lump of space. A wave filling a volume, wrapped round a center, quivering in every direction at the one time.
And that, the wave filling the whole 3-dimensioned room around the nucleus, that's the electron in the atom.
That's the electron in the atom. Not a planet on a ring. A standing wave wrapped round a speck of charge, ringing out in 3 dimensions. The nucleus doesn't pen it with 2 hard walls, it pens it with pull. A soft-sided well the wave hasn't the go to climb out of. But penned is penned, and the one iron law from the box walks straight in with it, unchanged. Only certain shapes are allowed to live in that room.
Only certain shapes, the same as the humps. The ones that fit live, the ones that don't throttle themselves. Is that it, Hole? Just the box trick again, done in the round?
That's it, Hole, and don't you dare let it slide past you small, because it's the beating heart of the entire night. A shape that's going to survive wrapped round that nucleus has to close on itself. It has to come back into step with itself once it's gone all the way round the room, crest landing home on crest. Or it does the exact murder your fractional hump did in the box. Comes back out of step, crest onto trough, and cancels itself clean out of the world. Only the whole self-closing patterns live, and there aren't a boundless number of those. There's a countable few.
So the atom isn't a thing with electrons parked at chosen distances at all. It's a thing that can only ring in certain ways. The shapes aren't picked by anybody. They're not decreed off a hat the way I hated so bitterly that first night. They're the only patterns that can wrap round a point without cutting their own throats. The same self-murder as the box, done in the round, and whatever's left standing is the atom.
Whatever's left standing is the atom. Every last one of its private shelves, every rung of its ladder, None of it was ever handed down from on high. It's simply which standing waves can ring true around a center, and which ones can't and die trying.
And that cracks something open, doesn't it? Something you made me swallow whole on faith the first night.
The barcode. You've seen it coming.
The sharp, separate stripes of colour each kind of atom glows. The fingerprint you swore every atom writes and couldn't tell me the why of.
Each allowed shape carries its one energy, its own rung, just as each hump did in the box. And since only certain shapes may ring, only certain energies are allowed to it, with sheer forbidden country in the gaps between. So the electron can only ever sit on certain rungs, and nowhere in the cracks between them. And when it drops from a high shape to a low one, it lets the difference go as a single note of light of one exact color. Fixed shapes, fixed rungs, fixed colors. There's your barcode, falling out at last of nothing grander than a wave that has to fit its room. And it's the same handful of stripes for every atom of the one kind. Whether it's glowing here in this grate or burning in a star halfway across the sky.
The graininess of the whole thing. The grain plank was dragged to that first night, kicking.
The very same grain, and here's a fresh floor laid under it. The sharp energy levels of every atom are the tally of the shapes that fit inside it. Nothing decreed, just what rings and what doesn't.
And these fitting shapes, the ones that ring true round the nucleus, they've a name, I don't doubt. Everything you hand me earns one sooner or later.
They do, and here it is, plain as I can lay it. The orbitals. That's the whole word. An orbital is one of the allowed standing wave shapes of an electron bound to a nucleus.
Orbital. There's orbit sitting right inside the word.
Like a squatter, and I want you to strangle it. There's no orbit in it anywhere. Nothing goes round, nothing rides a track. The name is a fossil, left in the rock from the very poster we just pulled off the wall.
A word with the old lie still stuck between its teeth. So an orbital is a shape, not a path, a standing pattern the wave settles into, like the shape of a plucked string sitting there ringing, not a bead running along the string.
Hold that difference with both hands, for nearly every soul lets it drop. The string's shape doesn't travel anywhere. The string sits in its arch and hums, and the shape is the whole of the thing. Nothing runs along it. An orbital is that, done in 3 dimensions, wrapped round a point. A standing shape that hums.
And where do these shapes come from? Some rule or just nature's whim?
They're the answers to Schrödinger's own law, the equation whose solutions are the orbitals. Feed his law an electron and a nucleus, and ask it which standing waves are allowed to ring, and it hands you back this short list of shapes. Nothing conjured from a hat. The shapes are what the law will permit, and no others. Forced, every one of them, the only standing waves that will sit still around a pull. The way only certain notes will ever sit still on a string.
But hold a moment, because you've left a splinter in me and I want it out first. If it's not orbiting, and the poster's planet fell in and died in a flash, what holds this one up? Why doesn't your standing wave just pour itself down into the nucleus, same as the planet did? The pull's still there, dragging it in. What stops it?
The finest question you could ask, and I hoped you would. Here's the answer, and it's a treasure you already own without knowing it. To pin that electron in tight against the nucleus, you'd have to crush its wave into a smaller and smaller room. And you taught yourself, in the box, exactly what crushing a wave into a tighter room costs it.
The rungs climb. Squeeze the box smaller, and every rung of the ladder lifts. The wavelengths crammed shorter, the bends forced sharper, so it's driven to carry more go, not less. Pinning a wave into a tiny place forces its energy up.
So set the 2 forces against each other and watch them wrestle. the pull wanting to drag the electron in to a single point, the wave flatly refusing to be pinned that small. The tighter you'd crush it, the more motion energy it's forced to clutch, and that shoves straight back outward. And the atom's lowest shape is the truce struck between the two. The wave pulled in just as far as the pull can manage before its refusal digs its heels in and won't be cornered another inch. And that truce has a size. It cannot be crushed below it.
So that's the why of it. That's what holds the atom open, not the electron dodging round a track fast enough to keep from falling. It's that a wave pinned too small costs too dear, and the thing simply will not pay the bill.
The planet stayed up by running, and the instant you stripped its running away, it fell. The wave stays up by refusing to be cornered, and you cannot strip that away, because it's the same flaw you met first in the blur and again in the box. Pin a thing in place, and it's forbidden to hold perfectly still. The lowest orbital sits a clear step above the crash, and nothing in creation can shove it lower. That is why matter is stable. That is why the atom holds for the age of the universe. Not motion, refusal.
The shiver from the box night, the bottom rung that never once touches the ground. The tremble the trapped wave can never put down, not at the coldest midnight there is. That's the thing propping the whole atom open.
The identical shiver wrapped round the nucleus. The atom is held open by the very same tremble a trapped wave can never lay to rest. The world has room in it. Solid things exist. They don't all fall to a point, because a wave will not be pinned.
So there's no pressing an atom flat, ever. No crushing that fog down to nothing, however hard you lean on it.
No more than you could crush the whole crowd of them into the one state last week. It's the same refusal wearing tonight's coat. The very reason your hand met the table instead of falling clean through it. Every atom guards its own room and will not be emptied of it. And that guarded room is the size of all the world's furniture. Now, you've been itching to actually see these shapes, and I've made you wait long enough.
Then start me at the bottom, the way you like it. The calmest one. What's the lowest shape that rings true round a nucleus?
The plainest shape there is. A ball. A simple round cloud settled over the nucleus like fog round a lamppost. Thickest right in at the middle, close on the charge, and thinning away smooth and even in every direction as you drift out. No lumps, no lobes, no favoured way to point. Just a soft, round haze, the same whichever side you walk round it. The lowest orbital is a sphere, the shape a trapped wave settles into when there's no reason on Earth to favour one way over another. The calmest, deepest note the atom can hold.
A ball of fog round the nucleus, now hold. You said cloud, you said haze, and not a minute ago you were saying wave. Which is it? Is the electron the wave, or is it this fog? Because those two don't land on me as the one thing.
They're the one thing wearing two coats, and this is the join I most need you to get clean. So let me lay it slow. The shape is the wave, the standing wave, humming in 3 dimensions. But the wave itself isn't a stuff you could ever catch in a net. What it hands you, the only thing it ever hands you, is odds. Take the height of that wave at any spot and square it the way you bled yourself pale over weeks ago.
Feynman's rule. Square the height, and out drops the chance of finding the thing right there.
Square the height, and out drops the chance of catching the electron at that spot if you reach in and look. So the cloud isn't a second thing sitting beside the wave. It's the wave, read off as odds. Thick fog where the wave stands tall, that's where you're likely to catch it. Thin fog where the wave runs low, you'll seldom find it there. And nothing whatever where the wave itself is nothing.
So when I look at your little round ball, fog thick in the middle, thinning going out, I'm looking at a map. A map of where the electron's likely to turn up if I go fishing for it. Densest where it's the safest bet, faint where it's a long shot.
A map of likelihood. Just that. And now I'll say the hard part flat, because it's the whole honesty of the night, and I'll not let it come out soft. That cloud is not a smear hiding a real little ball that's actually somewhere definite, with me just too clumsy to say where. There's no bead lost in the fog. The cloud is not a blur laid over a fact. The cloud is the fact. The complete and truthful account of the electron in that atom is that shape of odds, and nothing sharper is being kept back from you in a drawer. There's no secret address hid under the mist.
All right, the calm one's a ball, but your voice did the thing it does when there's a queue backed up behind the door. You said, the calmest. What comes after the ball? What's the next shape up the ladder that rings true?
The next family breaks the ball's perfect evenness, and it's the prettiest turn in the whole tale. Instead of the one round haze, the cloud splits itself in two. Two fat lobes of fog, one to each side of the nucleus, with the nucleus itself sitting in a pinched waste of nothing between them. Picture it swelling to a belly on the left, choked down to nothing dead at the center, then swelling to a matching belly on the right. Two clouds, balanced, back to back, with a still, empty throat pinning the pair of them apart.
Two lobes, back to back, nipped in hard at the middle. That's a dumbbell. You've handed me a dumbbell. The lump of cast metal off the rack in a gymnasium.
A dumbbell to the letter. And don't laugh yourself out too early, because there's a whole set of them, not the one. The same two-lobed dumbbell, aimed down each of the different ways a thing can point in space. One standing up and down, one lying flat, side to side, one pointing straight out at you and away behind. The same shape, just swung round to sight along each direction of the room.
A little family of dumbbells, each squinting down its own line. And higher still, you keep climbing and I keep wanting the next rung off you.
Higher, and the shapes turn busier and lovelier at once. The next family folds the fog into four lobes where there were two. A cloud with four petals meeting at the nucleus, like a clover leaf pressed flat, or a bow tie doubled over on itself. And some of that same family wear a fat ring of clouds slung round their middle besides, a donut of mist round the waist, clover leaves and rings, and on it climbs from there, each family more petalled and more intricate than the last. But every last one the same creature at heart, a standing wave that closes on itself, drawn out as a cloud of odds.
So let me be sure I've the furniture of the atom straight in my head. At the bottom, a ball of fog. Above it, a rack of dumbbells. And above those, a bed of clover leaves with the odd donut tossed in among them. You've gone and named the innards of every atom in creation after a gymnasium and a back garden.
The plainest words are the truest, and a man remembers a dumbbell where he'd forget a Greek letter by breakfast. And mark what I have not done, while you're grinning at your garden. I've not once reached for a letter of the alphabet to tag these shapes, nor a number to count them off by. I've kept the codes off the table on purpose, the whole lot of them. And mind, that's a real machinery I've spared you, not a thing I've disproved. You don't need the code, you need the shape. The ball, the dumbbell, the cloverleaf. That's the honest furniture, and it's enough to build the whole living world out of.
Here's what snags me though, staring at that ball of fog. If the electron's likely here, and likely there, and likely away on the far side, all at the one time, then where is it actually? Right this instant before I ever go fishing. It can't be smeared over the whole ball at once. It's the one electron. Where is it?
And there's the question the whole course has been climbing toward. So take the answer square, because it's the strangest true thing I'll set down all night. Right now, before you look, it isn't anywhere. Not somewhere, and you've simply not been told where. Nowhere in particular at all. The electron in that cloud has no spot it's secretly sitting in, biding its time to be caught out. It's everywhere the cloud allows it to be, all at the one time, spread out as pure maybe, right up until the instant you reach in and look. And your looking is the thing that pins it, snaps the whole fog down to one honest spot, then and there, and never a heartbeat before.
So it's the laziest creature in all creation. It can't be troubled to actually be anywhere until somebody checks up on it. It lounges about being wherever I'm allowed, thanks kindly, and only bothers to pick itself a spot the very second you turn your head to catch it in the act.
And not for any want of the trade trying to catch it out, mind. Reach in 1,000 times over, and every single time you'll find it at one honest spot. A real fleck, caught fair and square, but never the fog itself. The spots scatter, here this time, there the next, off yonder the time after, and the pattern the 1,000 flecks paint out, taken over all your looks together, is the cloud. The fog is what the electrons' dartings add up to. The cloud is the shadow the odds cast on the wall, and you only ever see it by looking and looking and looking again.
So the poster's not even wrong in the way I first took it. It's not that they drew the track in the wrong place round the nucleus. It's that they drew a track at all, a line the thing rides round, when the truth of it is a fog the thing haunts, with no line and no riding anywhere inside it.
No line and no riding. And I'll press it one hard step further, because this is the fence I most need you not to go climbing back over on the walk down the hill. Within that cloud, the electron follows no path. It doesn't slip secretly from this thick patch over to that one, along some hidden little route while your back is turned. There's no little journey being kept from you. The cloud is not a long exposure photograph of a fast little planet. That's the last comfortable lie your own mind will offer you, and you have to turn it down at the door. The cloud is the whole and complete truth. There is no faster, sharper story running underneath it, not hidden from you, not there to be hidden.
That's a hard thing to keep hold of. My mind keeps trying to slip a real little pellet back into the fog, something that's really in there, really moving, with the cloud being only my ignorance of where it's got to. And you're telling me that every single time I do that, I'm smuggling the planet back up onto the poster.
Every single time, and it's the most natural smuggle in the world. You'll have to frisk yourself for it at the door for the rest of your days. The cloud isn't your ignorance about a hidden pellet. The cloud is what there is. Make your peace with that one hard sentence, and the atom turns honest under your hands. Keep a secret pellet tucked in your pocket, and you'll be wrong about everything downstream of it.
Then let me ask the plainest question a child would ask, and see what your honest fog does to it. How big is an atom? Where does it stop? If it's a ball of fog round the nucleus, where's the edge of the ball? Where does the one atom end and the empty room begin?
And that plain child's question hasn't got a clean answer anywhere in it. There is no edge. The cloud doesn't run out to some skin and halt the way a marble stops sharp at its own surface. It just thins, thick near the nucleus, fainter as you drift out, fainter still, the fog paling and paling with the distance. And it never ever quite reaches nothing. There's always a whisper of it further out, a hair more cloud beyond wherever you thought to draw your line.
So there's no honest place to stand and say, here's the wall of the atom, and past this it simply isn't. It's fog all the way out, only thinner and thinner without any end to it.
Without any end. So when a body tells you the size of an atom, he's told you a small kind fib for tidiness' sake. He's drawn a line out where most of the fog lives, a fence round the bulk of the odds, and called that the edge. It's a fair fence and a useful one, but it's a choice, not a fact. Push out past it and you don't strike empty room. You find fainter fog.
And I've met this fading before, haven't I? This exact tale. You showed it me at the very death of the box night, one hand already on the door, the wave leaking a little way past the wall it was meant to be barred from, not snapping to nothing at the edge, but poking its fading height out into the forbidden ground.
You've caught the very same creature, and I couldn't have hoped for you to do it cleaner. The soft outer fog of the atom is that leak, grown up and wrapped round in the round. The nucleus's wall was never a sheer cliff. It's a soft-sided well, and against a soft wall, a wave doesn't die at the edge. It seeps out and fades, on and on, thinner without limit. That fading tail you met, leaking past one flat wall, is the whole outer skin of every atom there is.
So the leak is the edge.
An edge that never once lands.
Then nothing in me actually touches anything when you chase it all the way down. When I lay my hand flat on this table, the table you finally taught me was solid, there's no moment where the atoms of my hand and the atoms of the wood come edge to edge and press. It's fog meeting fog. Two clouds crowding up against one another, thinning into each other, and never a hard little surface anywhere in the whole business of it.
Fog crowding fog, and the crowd shoving back is last week's rule, the one that hands the world its room. But you've put your finger square on the deep strangeness, and I'll not talk you out of the shiver. There is no hard edge anywhere in matter, not in your hand, not in the stone, not in the blacksmith's anvil. Every solid thing you've ever knocked your knuckles on is clouds. Clouds that fade without end, held apart by a rule, and never once touching in the way you'd swear on your life they touch. Solid is a thing fog does when it's forbidden to overlap. It is not a thing anything in the world is actually made of. We only ever called it solid because the shove is so sure and so quick that a lifetime of leaning on it never once caught the trick. But chase it down and there's no flaw to the thing at all. Only cloud refusing cloud, the whole way in.
Then take me up out of the one atom, because I can feel a bigger thing standing in the doorway. You've given me the shapes now, the ball, the dumbbells, the clover leaves. And last week you gave me the rule, 2 electrons to a room and no more, opposite, whatever it was. The little private turning, the split in two thing off the beam in the magnet night. Put the two of them together for me.
They build the periodic table, the whole schoolroom chart, every row and every column of it, and they build it out of nothing but shapes and that rule of 2. So let's build the thing ourselves, from the bottom up.
From an empty atom.
Start it bare and feed electrons in one at a time, and here's the one law they obey going in the door. Each fresh one settles into the lowest shape that's still got room to spare. Water finds the low ground. Electrons find the low shapes first.
Lowest first. So the very first one in drops into the calm, round ball, the deep note, the bottom rung of the ladder.
The first one takes the ball. And the second one in, can it take the ball as well? Last week's rule now, say it back to me.
2 to a room, but never a third. So yes, the second one's allowed to join it, but only because of that pair of the 2 private turnings. The split in 2 from the beam that forked in the magnet. 1 electron facing the one way, 1 facing the other. So 2 of them fill that ball between them, 1 of each turning, and then it's shut, full. No third gets so much as a foot in the door.
The ball is closed with 2, and it takes the 2 opposite turnings to do the closing. There's the whole of last week living inside tonight. So the ball's shut. The third electron arrives at the door, and the ball has no room left for it. The rule flat forbids it a place. Where's it forced to go?
Up, onto the next shape, the next rung. It's got no earthly choice, the comfortable ground floor's taken and barred. So it has to climb to the next family. Is that the rack of dumbbells?
Up to the next story it climbs, because down is full and forbidden it. And that forced stepping up, not chosen, driven, shoved higher by a rule that won't let them all pile in together on the ground floor. That is the whole engine of the table.
So the whole chart runs on the electrons not being allowed to share.
Fill the shapes from the bottom, 2 to each, and every time a family of shapes fills up and shuts, you've closed off a shell. And an atom that's just closed a shell clean. Nothing half-filled left hanging, everything shut and paired and contented in it.
Is one of the aloof ones. That's a noble gas, isn't it? The standoffish sort that won't react with a soul, won't burn, won't join, just sits there smug and complete unto itself. Because every one of its shells is shut. There's no half-empty room anywhere for another atom to get a grip on.
A shut, contented atom, with nothing hanging loose to trade. Cold to the whole world, joins with nobody. Now shift your eye one place along, to its next-door neighbour, the atom with a single electron more.
One over the top of a full set.
That next one has had to start a fresh shell from scratch, so it carries one lonely electron rattling round all by itself in a new, higher shape, flung out far, loosely held.
And that one's the opposite creature entirely. That one's desperate. One lonely electron out on its own at the edge, easy to knock loose, aching to be rid of it or to pair it off with somebody. That's your eager, hungry sort, the ones that catch fire, that grab at everything within reach.
The eager ones, sitting a hair's breadth off a contented shell and forever scheming to reach it, either by shedding that lonely one or by borrowing another to round out the set. And there's your whole table, unrolling in front of you. The rows are the shells filling up, one story at a time, until each shuts. Never a rung skipped, never two crammed in where one belongs. The filling is as strict as plain counting, and the chart on the wall just writes the count down.
And the columns?
The columns line up the atoms that carry the same loose ends, the same half-finished outer shape, which is the whole reason they behave alike, why a column shares a single temperament, top to bottom. The table isn't a list somebody sorted by hand and hung on the wall. It's a map of which shapes are filling, and how near each atom stands to shutting a shell. Read it along a row, and you're watching one shell fill, box by box, up to its close. Read it down a column, and you're meeting the same loose end over and over. The same hunger, wearing a heavier and heavier coat.
So that chart on the wall, the one I always took for a filing cabinet, a tidy list of the stuffs the world's built from, sorted by their weight. It's a picture of these shapes the whole time. Every box in it is an atom caught partway through stacking up balls and dumbbells and clover leaves, 2 to a room.
The whole table is the shapes, filling up, and it's every column and row, every "this one's a soft metal and that one's a choking gas," is the tally of which shapes stand shut and which hang open. The reason there's any chemistry at all, the reason the world isn't one grey, undifferentiated sludge, is that different atoms halt at different points in the filling, and so carry different loose ends out into the world.
Loose ends. You keep saying loose ends. Half-filled shapes, atoms aching to complete a set. And I can feel plain where that's pointing me. If an atom's got a half-empty outer shape and it's desperate to fill it, and another atom close by has an electron going spare, then surely the pair of them come to a deal.
They come to a deal, and that deal is every stick and stone and drop of water in the world. Here's what the deal actually is, said in the shapes. Bring two atoms close, each one with a half-filled outer cloud reaching out hungrily into the room.
Two hungry fogs leaning at each other.
Close enough, and those outer clouds, those loose, aching orbitals, begin to overlap. They reach into the same patch of space, and they merge. And an electron that used to be the one atom's is now swimming through the merged cloud of both. Shared. belonging to neither and to the pair of them at once.
So the two atoms don't hook together with any little clasp or catch. Their fogs just run into one another and pool in the middle, and an electron that used to haunt the one atom now haunts the two of them together, drifting through the shared patch of cloud where they've overlapped.
That pooling of the clouds, that shared electron swimming through the both of them, that is a chemical bond. The whole of it, root and branch. Try to pull the atoms apart, and you'd have to tear that shared cloud clean in two. And it doesn't want the tearing, so they hold. That holding is the bond. That merged fog is what a molecule is.
And the aloof ones, the shut, contented atoms, they've nothing hanging loose to share, so they bond with nobody at all.
With nobody. A shut shell has no loose cloud to reach out with, nothing to pool, no deal on the table. So the noble gases drift through the whole world, touching nothing, joining nothing, complete unto themselves. The eager ones build every molecule there is. The contented ones just watch. Everything that ever bonded did it out of a hunger to be shut.
So the whole of chemistry, every reaction, every drug, every green leaf, every smell that ever stopped me in a doorway, the entire subject they teach in the room next door with all the beakers and the burns, the whole of it is just clouds learning to overlap, fogs reaching into one another and sharing what pools in the middle. That's it. That's the whole of the wet, complicated, occasionally exploding business.
That's the whole of it at the root. Every reaction in every beaker that ever cracked from the heat is orbitals working out how to overlap. Clouds merging and parting and re-merging into fresh arrangements. And it runs deeper than just, they stick, mind, because the shapes have directions in them.
The dumbbells, they point.
A dumbbell points. A cloverleaf reaches its petals out along particular lines and no others. So when clouds overlap, they can only do it along the ways the shapes actually point. And that sets the very angles the atoms come to sit at.
So the angles in a molecule
Are the angles the clouds happen to point. It's the reason molecules have shapes at all. Why water is bent at its own certain angle instead of laid out flat. Why the whole architecture of every substance stands the way it stands and no other. The shape of the fog decides the shape of the thing.
So the dumbbell pointing up and down, and the next one side to side, that's not just a curiosity of the one lonely atom. That's the thing that fixes the shape of everything the atom goes on to build.
The angles of the world come straight off the shapes of the clouds. Every structure you've ever laid eyes on, the fork of a branch, the twist in a strand of your own hair, the flat, six-sided sheet of a snowflake, the fold of a living thing, is fog overlapping fog along the lines the shapes will permit. Chemistry is geometry when you chase it home. The geometry of these standing waves reaching out and finding one another in the little room between the atoms. Stack that one trick up, cloud upon cloud upon cloud, and you've the grain of the wood and the wet of the water and the long folded chains that get up and call themselves alive. All of it fog, reaching along the lines its shapes allow.
Then, before you swing that door on me, the ritual, same as ever, the honest folding of the sheets. What did we not do this morning, so I don't go strolling home down the hill, claiming the day earned me more than it fairly did?
You've the ritual by heart now, so I'll fold them square. First, I did not truly solve the atom for you. I gave you the shapes as pictures, the ball and the dumbbell and the cloverleaf, and those pictures are honest and true. But I never once set Schrödinger's law down and worked the shapes out of it the way it's really done. I pointed at the answers, I didn't grind them out.
You pointed and didn't deliver. Fair. What else stayed under the cloth?
The codes. I kept every letter and every number the trade tags these shapes with off the table on purpose. And mind, that's a real machinery I've spared you, not a thing I've disproved. There's a proper reckoning of exactly how many of each shape there are, and why the rows of the table run the lengths they run, and it hangs on a counting I've deliberately left in the dark.
And the private turning, the split in two that lets two share a room. You leaned your whole weight on it again tonight.
And never once cracked it open. It keeps a strangeness all its own, deep enough to swallow an evening whole, and I'm not cracking it by this fire either. What you carry out clean is the one bone. The shapes are standing waves that fit. The cloud is where the thing might be, and the table is those shapes stacking two at a time.
And none of tonight gets quietly unlearned come the winter, does it? This is the survives only richer kind of night. The true shapes answer to a subtler law than my 3 pictures, and the counting's got teeth I've not been shown, but every last refinement only deepens the thing, never undoes it.
Richer later, wrong never. The deal I always cut you, and it's held across the whole climb. Now, you've got that look about you that I know, the one you always wear with a hand already resting light on a nicer door. You didn't haul me up this frozen hill just to hand me a ball of fog and a dumbbell and send me home.
I've caught you at it too many mornings to miss it now. There's a gift queued up behind your teeth. Out with it. What's next?
All night. All season, if it comes to it. We've described the cloud of one electron. One lonely wave, wrapped round its own nucleus, minding its own odds. But quantum mechanics keeps its very strangest trick in its pocket for 2. Take 2 particles and prepare them together so they share a single wave between them. 1 wave for the pair, not 2 waves side by side. Carry them apart.
How far apart?
To opposite ends of a room, of a country, of the sky, and measure the one. And in that same instant, the answer to the other is settled, however far off it's got to, no matter the distance between them.
In the same instant. Across any distance at all. That can't be right. That's got to be some trick of the setup, surely. Some string between them I'm not seeing.
There was a very great man who was certain of exactly that. Certain it had to be a trick, a prearrangement hidden in the packing, because the alternative offended him to his bones. Einstein called it too spooky to be true, and bet his whole heart that some hidden little agreement, settled before the two ever parted, was doing the work. And then somebody found a way to actually test the bet, and nature came down on the other side.
The great man himself? Wrong? You're telling me they proved him wrong?
Flat wrong, and by an experiment you can run. Next time, we look straight at the spookiest thing in all of physics, and at the test that settled it against him.
Then here's the whole cold morning back to you, the way you always drag it out of me at the door. I climbed up clutching the prettiest lie in science, the little solar system off the schoolroom wall, and you took it off me twice over. A real charge on a track would spill its light and spiral into the nucleus dead in a flash, and there was never a track to spiral on, because a wave has no lane. So you wrapped the trapped wave of the box night round the nucleus in the round, and only the whole self-closing shapes could ring there without knifing themselves out. The ball, the rack of dumbbells, the bed of clover leaves. Each one a cloud of where the thing might be caught, thick where the wave stands tall, and every one of them held open above the crash by that same shiver that won't be pinned. And there's no bead in the fog, no track, no crisp edge to any of it, only a haze that fades off toward forever. So my own hand never truly touches the table. It's fog crowding fog. And then you stack those shapes, 2 to a room, and the stacking was the whole table on the wall, the aloof ones shut tight, the hungry ones 1 electron shy of peace. And when their loose clouds reach out and overlap and pool, that sharing is every bond, every molecule, the whole of chemistry, angles and all. So everything I can touch and taste and set fire to and love is the shape of standing waves ringing round a speck of charge. Every solid thing I'll ever lean my weight against is a crowd of those clouds, fading without an edge, refusing to be pinned and refusing to be crushed, and calling the standoff stone. That's a thing that rearranges the furniture right back against the walls, and I'll be a long while sitting in it. I'll be at your door before the birds, and next week, it seems, you hand me a great man's mistake to carry home.